Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah wa ba'd. Before we begin today's lesson, I want to remind all of you that if you are unfamiliar with any of the letters that we have learned in the past, please go back to the previous videos and watch them until you are certain and you recognize and are able to pronounce those letters. We're going to begin lesson number 6 today, and we're going to learn 4 new letters. Those letters are Fa, Qaf, Kaf, and Lam. We're going to begin with the letter Fa. Let's start with pronouncing it. Fa, Fa, Fa. Very good. The letter Fa is a light letter, and you already know what that means. Back of your tongue is going to stay flat. Your mouth is going to open somewhat horizontal position. F, F. The letter Fa also has air. So when you pronounce it, allow a little bit of the air to come out. F. If you hold a little piece of paper to your mouth while you say that, you should see the paper rattling just slightly. The location of the letter is pronounced from the lip. You're going to use one lip. We've already learned one of the lip letters, which was the letter Ba, and in the next lesson you're going to learn 2 more. The letter Fa requires one lip, the bottom lip, and you're going to press it up against the bottom of the front 2 teeth. F, Fa, right? And one of the common mistakes that is going to happen, right, with the letter Fa is if you withhold the air. If you withhold it, it's going to turn into the English letter V. V. That's without air. So if you're able to pronounce V, all you have to do is add a little bit of air, and you should be able to pronounce Fa. Moving on to the next part, which is recognizing the letter. The Fa at the beginning will require just this part, right? The front of it. In the middle, it's going to look like one of the letters that we learned somewhat, Ain and Ghain, right? Remember that one was like a triangular shape? But you notice that the Fa has an opening in the middle with the dot on the top. And it has the extensions on both sides. And at the end, full letter with the extension before. If that is clear, we can move on to the next letter. The next letter that we're going to learn is the letter Qaf. 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 Very good. The letter Qaf is one of the bold letters. It means the back of your tongue is going to rise and it's going to pull your mouth vertically up and down. Qaf. Qaf. This is the last of the 7 main bold letters, right? But we learned that Ra was also sometimes bold and sometimes light. And just really quick, Kha was the first, Ra was the one that's sometimes bold, sometimes light. And then we have Sad, Dad, Ta, and Dha, right? And Ghain, and today we have Qaf. So it's a bold letter. We're also going to know or learn that Qaf has no air. No air for the letter Qaf. Common mistakes with the letter Qaf is that it's sometimes pronounced mistakenly as a K, English K, right? Like in kite, but you can hear that that has air with it. So that's, and it's also light. It's a light letter. So it's not Qaf. So don't pronounce it as a K. Sometimes it's pronounced like the C in the word Qaf, and because you haven't yet learned the location of it, you pronounce it similar to the sound of a C in the word Qaf. And sometimes in certain dialects it's pronounced close to a Jim, right? The heavy, I think they call it the Egyptian Jim, Gaf, right? And that's also a mistake. Now, what you want to do is make sure that it's bold and you don't add any air, and you want to know its location so that you can eliminate most of these mistakes, right? And that is that the qaf is in the back of the tongue, right? Close to where the uvula is, so beneath it. Aq, Qaf, holding the air and making it bold, will give you that sound. Recognizing this letter, pretty straightforward. The letter Qaf, you can see it has 2 dots. So when you write it at the beginning, you're just going to take the head of it and make the extension. When it's in the middle, it's similar to the Fa, with the exception of what? The 2 dots. That's how you're going to be able to distinguish between the Fa and the Qaf. You'll have the extensions on both sides. And at the end, the letter Qaf will have the extension to the letter before it. And it's going to look as it appears as an individual letter with 2 dots above it. If that's clear, we can move on to the next letter. The next letter is Kaf. 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 Very good. The letter Kaf is a light letter. It means the back of your tongue is going to stay flat. And the letter Kaf is pretty close to this English word, right? I don't like to use English to help you pronounce Arabic words, but sometimes we get some words that are close. So calf, right, like a baby cow, is pretty close to the pronunciation of calf. It's also what? A letter that does have air. Now these 2 attributes are key into distinguishing between pronouncing kaf and qaf. Right? They're going to help you because qaf is bold, right, and it has no air. These 2 attributes are going to help you distinguish the sound of both letters. So kaf, make sure to add that air, and make sure that the back of your tongue stays flat. The location of the letter, all right, is like this. Remember, we just learned that qaf is back here. Kaf is just slightly before it, right? A little bit before it. And because it's slightly before it, we can lower the back of our tongue to allow that distinct sound for the letter kaf. Recognizing the letter kaf, well, at the beginning and in the middle, it looks very different. And that's where you're going to want to, focus so that you're able to recognize it when it's in the word. At the beginning, it's going to have this long extension at the top, and then it's going to have this body that somewhat looks like a dal, right? And then there's going to be different font styles. So what you see here might be different than what you read in a book. But know that if you see this shape or something very close to it, that it's a kaf. At the beginning, this is how the kaf will appear. In the middle, same thing, but with the extensions, right, before and then after. And at the end, you should be able to recognize the kaf without any difficulty because it'll appear just as it is as an individual letter with the extension before it. If that is clear, we can move on to the next and final letter in this lesson. The final letter that we are going to learn today, Lam. 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 Very good. The letter Lam is light. Back of your tongue stays flat. Also, the letter Lam does not have any air. No air for Lam. It'll be difficult to add air to Lam anyways. Common mistakes. This is somewhat of a big mistake, and that is that the letter Lam is commonly associated with the English letter L, right? And that has to do with the location of the letter, right? Its point of origin. So let's learn about that, and let's talk about distinguishing between the Lam in Arabic and the L in English. If you remember, we drew a diagram of the tongue and we said that it's divided into 5 parts: the back of the tongue, the middle of the tongue, and then the sides have the back sides, right? These 2 sides, and then the front sides, and then we have the tip of the tongue. That's fine. So Lam comes from the front sides of the tongue. You can use either or both. You can use the left side or the right side, or you can use both. And so what you're going to do is you're going to take the sides of your tongue and you're going to place it up on the gums, right? Remember we talked about the gums having a bumpy side, right? And then a smooth side. You can run your tongue across your gums and you'll see that. The lam will be on that little bumpy side of your gums, right? La, lam. So that's going to help you make the distinction between lam and L in English, right? Laughing, L. If I use the lam in its place, laughing. You can hear the difference, right, between that. That's how sometimes you hear people that are pronouncing lam with an English L. Instead of saying assalamu alaykum, they say assalamu alaykum. They use the L in its place. The fix, how to correct that mistake, bring your tongue closer to the bumpy side of your gums and pronounce the lam there, keeping it light, right, and no air. And you can kind of hear that the English L is more bold, la, right? La, la. So it's got a little bit of boldness to it. And so recognizing the letter lam, pretty straightforward. You see, I've already circled the beginning, right? And so the letter lam at the beginning will connect to the letter after it. Don't make the mistake and think that this is an alif. Alif can only connect to the letter before it. And so if we were dealing with an alif, this is something that you would see. The extension here, right? And then the letter alif. However, in this word, or in this drawing or font of the letter, it's connecting to the letter after. So it's a lam. In the middle, the lam will have the extension on both sides. Again, don't mistake it for an alif, right? It has the extension before and after. Alif could not connect to the letter after. And at the end, the letter lam has the extension before, and you can see the letter as a whole. You should be able to recognize it with ease. And that concludes today's lesson. So practice them, work on pronouncing them the correct way, and also focus on recognizing them in their different forms. Inshallah, we'll see you in the next video. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.